Hey everyone, this is Jack from the Cardboard Herald, and today we are going over 5 quick tips that anyone can employ to up their game when it comes to Cartographers Prime and Cartographers Heroes for the most part. Let's check it out. So my first tip for your cartographical skills is to prioritize goals that have yet to ring up twice. Meaning that as you're planning out the game, you have the goals A, B, C, D. If there is a goal right now ahead of you that has already been scored once, it's only going to be scored one more time. But if D hasn't been scored yet, then turn your attention to that one. See if you can rack up 2 possible scoring opportunities off of it. In general, planning for later big scoring is going to be a lot more advantageous than trying to force your way into low scoring in the scoring condition that's just about to happen. Plan big, pay off big. Second, get devious with monsters. I don't want to hear any of this like, well, I'll make a nice monster over here so that way they can deal with it. No! You want to make sure that you are as devious and sinister as possible, and the best way to do that is to make little nooks and crannies that are hard for people to manipulate around. If you put a monster that's almost perfectly in the corner, but still capitalizes on some of those delicious empty spaces around it, that makes it all that much more difficult for people to surround that monster or slay it with the heroes in Cartographers Heroes, then you're going to be in good business. You're just not going to have very happy friends after you're done with the game. Third, early game coins are big business. Yes, you want those big terrains. Yes, you want to fill up so much space. But when you think about coins that score every round, a coin that you obtain in round 1 is worth 4 points on its own, whereas many of the things that you could do with those bigger tetromino pieces aren't going to contribute as much as that. Though later on in the game, you don't need to worry about coins as much because they're only going to be worth 1 or 2 points, and that's when you really want to snare those big pieces. So just make sure you're cognizant of how you're appropriately valuing terrain versus coins. Number 4, like so many games that have spatial arrangement as a central mechanism, it is a snare that at first seems like a pleasant walk in the park, but by the end is a vice that is tightening around you and you have no way of getting out. And it is so much easier to build outward from a central landmass than it is having several landmasses coming together at the middle. So if all things are the same and this doesn't directly impact how you're approaching any of the goals, try to start from the center of your board and work your way out, and you're going to thank me by the end of the game. And the last one is really for Cartographers Prime, or if you are playing with a combined set that involves Cartographers Prime, but because that's the one that made the biggest splash, that's the one that has been around the longest, that's the one that I've owned the longest, then that's the one that's getting the bonus tip here. When you are playing with ruins, preemptively cover up ruins. Yeah, you may be like, well, I don't know that I want to cover up these ruins, but if all of your ruins are covered up in the game and a ruins card comes up and it dictates that you got to draw something as a result of that, you can then add a 1x1 square of any terrain type if there are no viable ruins for you to draw on top of, which is incredibly powerful to be able to place that 1x1 anywhere and have it be any terrain type, including monsters, which I can't think of a single reason why you'd ever want monsters, but you still have the possibility to add a happy little kobold in the corner if you want it. But more often than not, you can use that to fill in some of those monstrous gaps we were talking about earlier, and you can use it to perfectly tie together so many of the goals. I have seen a lot of games saved where I have preemptively covered up ruins just so I have more flexibility when it comes time for a ruins card coming up. When you get to place that 1x1, it's like a nice little treat that you get to lord over your opponents with. It's wonderful. And that's it. Those are our 5 quick tips that anyone can employ, but they aren't the only tips. I'd love to hear what are some of your go-to strats when cartographizing, when making maps. perhaps in a fantasy sense in the role player universe? And what are some of the games that you'd like to see some more of these quick breakdowns on? I would love to know. Put them in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for gaming, thanks for being awesome. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald.